You seem to know your way around a gun. You reckon you can handle that?
Well, I sort of shot a rifle before, but it was at rats
Rats.
with BBs.
It's the same basic concept. Lift it up. All right, now. You're going to lean right into that stock, as it is going to kick a hell of a lot more than any baby rifle.
Yeah.
Go and pull the bolt back. Grab it right there. Just tug it. There you go. And as soon as you fire, you're going to want to get another round in there quick. Listen to me. If I get into trouble down there, you make every shot count. Yeah.
I got this.
All right. And just so we're clear about back there, it was either him or me.
You're welcome.
Yo, what is going on, y'all? Welcome to my Last of Us review. The Last of Us is an older game. It came out in June of 2013. But it is widely regarded as one of the best games, if not the best game on the PS3 back when it came out. And some people would argue that it's still one of Sony's best games that they've ever made, even through the PS4 as well. You know, they came out with the remastered version a few years ago, and that's what this is right here. And you know, I think it looks pretty good for the PS4. It still holds up to this day. It's a great game. It's one of my personal favorites. I've played this game from beginning to end. Man, I don't even know. Probably at least a good 6-7 times. My latest playthrough last year, I played on the hardest difficulty, grounded mode, and that was a lot of fun. It's very difficult, but oh so satisfying when you actually complete it. It was something else. Very, 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 very fun. The game, very, very simple gameplay wise, but the story is what sells it. The story's pretty incredible, which I will get into later in this video. So pretty much, you know, what I'm gonna do is I'm pretty much gonna break this down into like 3 sections. I'm gonna be talking about first the gameplay, my personal thoughts on the gameplay itself. You know, it's not all perfect. You know, there were things I liked, things I didn't like. You know, and really there wasn't anything I hated in the game. It was just more so little annoyances. You know, but it was older games. You know, from Naughty Dog, so it's to be expected. But you know, first I'm going to get into gameplay. And then afterwards, I'll be getting into the combat, and we're going to talk about the combat. I love the combat. Combat's great. Some people don't really care for it too much. I understand why. It can it can be, I guess, a little it can be, you know, the thing is, I love it because it is kind of simple, but I like the AI. You know, like I said, I'll get into it a little later, into details, but I love it. I love the combat. I love how visceral Joel is. Joel is my guy. Joel, when you're killing people with Joel, it is vicious, it is brutal, and it is graphic too. And for a model that was made from the PS3 era, it still all holds up pretty well. And so yeah, I'll be talking about combat, and then the last section I'll be speaking about is the story. And you know, the story is what makes The Last of Us. The reason Last of Us is so popular, in my opinion, and to the opinions of others, while the gameplay, you know, has things that are hit or miss, the combat has something that I love, but people, has things that they have their gripes about it. It's hit or miss on certain things, but universally, for the most part, most people will tell you that this video game is a must play. It's 10 out of 10. If for some reason you haven't played it and you're thinking about it, the one selling point people will tell you as to why you should play it is the story. I feel like the story is really one of the best stories I've seen in a video game. It is very, very engaging. Pretty much you play as Joel here, and in a zombie apocalypse, or infected apocalypse, if you will. And the world has just gone to shit, and it's pretty much overrun with infected creatures. And like I said, I'll get more into detail about this in a little bit, but essentially you are escorting Ellie, this girl, across the country of the United States. Well, for reasons I'll get into later in the video. But the story and how, when you get to know these two characters on your screen right now, is something, it's worth the experience alone. And I could not get enough of this game. I have replayed it multiple times, and I will likely replay it many, many more times in the later years. It's just such a great game to come back to, and Naughty Dog really hit it out of the park with this. They had Neil Druckmann, Bruce Staley, and Amy Hemming were like the main people in charge of kind of the nuts and bolts of this game, and they all hit it out of the park. Naughty Dog hit it out of the park. The graphics look incredible. Everything looks so real, and for something that came out in 2013, it was pretty darn good. So that is pretty much what I'm going to be talking about in this video. I will get into depth here right now. So without further ado, everybody, here is my review of The Last of Us Remastered for the PS4. All right. It's time to talk about some gameplay. So, overall, the gameplay, in my personal opinion, on The Last of Us is... The way I would put it for myself is, it's not the best, but I love it. I personally really like it. It's there are certain like mechanical things, like it can feel a little clunky sometimes. The character you play is Joel. Joel's the main character, and there are times where when you're moving along the level, sometimes it feels like Joel is moving slower than you would like. It sometimes it feels like you have a lot of, like, Joel has a bunch of rocks in his backpack, so to speak. Does that make sense? And I think it may have something to do with just the loading speed of the game. It's an older game, it's PS3, PS4 model, but it's so sometimes, like, if you're trying to like sprint through a level, sometimes it won't allow you to do that, and I felt in my numerous playthroughs that it would get a little it would get a little annoying, but it wasn't anything bad. Like, these are nitpicks. Like, honestly, any criticism that I have of the game is the majority of it is kind of nitpicks, but there are legitimate criticisms, so it just feels like that's one thing too. So expect that. Sometimes, you'll want to kind of move through a level a little faster, but Joel will just not do it, and it can be a little annoying, but it's nothing too egregious. It's really not too crazy, But speaking of the PS3, PS4 model, this game, for the year it was made in 2013, looks fantastic. The graphics are beautiful. Naughty Dog really hit it out of the park with the character design. Everyone just looks so real. Like it's, you can see like the facial features, just the world too in this apocalypse. It really looks kind of it's 20 years after an apocalypse, and it's just everything just looks so run down. The graphics look amazing. There is so much detail. They really did a great job with the graphics. They're incredible. This type of game, it has when you're playing through it in some of the quieter moments, you'll find that the game actually has a lot of puzzles. It's which I enjoyed the puzzles very much. They're very they're pretty simple. Some people feel like I've heard some people say that the puzzles themselves are a little too simple, and they didn't really care for it all that much. And I kind of see I kind of see where they're coming from. Personally, I really liked it, because it just felt really real in a like post-apocalyptic world. Things like using a dumpster. Sometimes Joel will have to use a dumpster to kind of move a dumpster to be able to climb over a fence. Like he'll use a dumpster, move it to a fence he's trying to get over, or like a wall he's trying to get over, and or like a staircase that he can't reach, and he'll use it, move it there, and use it to propel himself up. Simple. It's simple puzzles like that just to get from point A to point B, or things like the second protagonist, Ellie. She is someone who cannot swim. So whenever these two characters are in areas of high water, Joel has to find a way to get her across, and essentially he has to find a plank of wood, or a pallet, if you will, and pretty much has to carry Ellie across to get to their destination. Just simple things like that. Simple puzzles like that. They are littered throughout the game. They're pretty simple, and I really like it. I really like it. It's good. It keeps you engaged. The ladders. There's something you will find in this game too is the ladders, and they can be a little annoying. Sometimes Joel will have to use ladders he will have to find a ladder to climb to a certain area in a level, or he will use a ladder to cross like a building or a platform, and effectively use the ladder as a kind of bridge. And ladders can be really annoying because it's the way it's set up. Joel, there's like a way to pick it up, and then you have to like this. There's a way you have to pick it up, and then you have to lay it down. There's like a button to lay it down across where you need to go, but sometimes it's very easy to get it to where Joel just sets the ladder back down. You know what I mean? It's like you try to put it across, but Joel just ends up putting the ladder back down. It can be a little frustrating at times. Like I said, it's nothing really. It's not a deal breaker. It's just the ladders can be kind of annoying to deal with. You want to pick it up, you want to put it where you need to be, but instead Joel just puts the ladder down. It can be a little annoying, especially if you're pressed on time, and that's just one of the I wouldn't say kind of negative things, but it's nothing. Like I said, it's not a deal breaker. It's just probably, in fact, the ladders are probably the most annoying thing about the game from a mechanic puzzle standpoint. Um, every, I do like the crafting system. So Joel, you can level up your character, Joel, pretty much. How you do so is like you've been seeing on the screen here, Joel. You have to find, and scavenge for supplies. Okay, you have to scavenge for everything. You have to scavenge for bullets. You have to scavenge for weapons. You have to scavenge for materials to build weapons, things like bombs, like you just saw on your screen. You have to scavenge for ways to for like little. You have to scavenge for parts to upgrade your weapons. Upgrade your guns, and it's I really like it because what it does is it forces you. Personally, I'm the type of gamer, I've always been someone who searches every nook and cranny. I've always liked to search every drawer, go out of my way. Like if I see where to go in a level, I tend to go the opposite way because I know if there's an open area, there is more than likely treats to find, and these treats are used to either give yourself some ammo or to upgrade your character. And I really like that. Some people, I feel like I've heard some people say that they really don't like that aspect. And if you are someone who maybe doesn't like to like really search every drawer, search every shelf, uh, open every door, then it may annoy you a little bit. And I completely understand. I get that. It's personally, I just really like it because this is one of my favorite games, so I have no problem doing that. I really like getting immersed in this world. I really like this universe, if you will, and this kind of apocalyptic, state of the world, and it's just interesting to me. So I don't mind going into searching every drawer, every shelf, but some people would, and I don't blame them. And it's if you're one of those people, it might get a little tiresome at times, I'll admit. But I would recommend that you do so because as the game gets, you get to the later portions of the game, it gets really, really hard sometimes, and you'll need to craft things like a Molotov cocktail, which are good for certain of the infected creatures, and you'll need to craft like blades and stuff on your weapons, like things like the baseball bat or pipes, to add a little extra, add kind of a one shot kill with your melee weapon. And you can find pills throughout the levels here to level up things like your health, give yourself some more health, level up your crafting speed, level up your radar, your listen mode. Basically, depending on what difficulty you play, the listen mode is vital. Effectively, if you're in a position like this where you're kind of sneaking around a place and you don't know where the infected are, you can use this mode to it's like radar, more or less. It's a type of radar to kind of detect where the infected are. It's a very, very useful tool, especially for players who are new to the game. It helped me a lot when I first started playing it. So it's and when you upgrade, you can upgrade like the the radius in which Joel can see like through walls and stuff. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. But overall, the gameplay, like I said, it's an older game. It's here's the thing: The Last of Us, with a lot of The Last of Us, everything is simple, but I really love it. I basically, if you want to upgrade and make your character as strong as possible, if you want to make Joel as strong as possible, you have to scavenge and look around like you would in a real life scenario. Knock on wood, if things ever got like this, if the world ever went to heck, and we were forced to kind of scavenge like for supplies and stuff. So, but overall gameplay pretty good. A few nitpicks here and there, but overall I think it's a good experience. It was fun. There was never a moment where I felt to myself, man, I really am not liking how this plays. Sometimes, like I said, he can move a little slow, but overall, I thought the gameplay was very good. All right, so it's time to talk about combat. The combat in the game is very visceral and I love it. I'm a very big fan of the combat. It's very brutal. It's very it's pretty violent. This game is pretty violent, and the kills and the violence just seem very very real. Like you can watch, as you can see, Joel can strangle opponents, from stealth, or he can bludgeon them or shoot them. It's pretty crazy. The levels themselves are generally very small and compact, uh, which kind of, as a result, makes it have kind of a claustrophobic feel to it, and it really ramps up the tension because a lot of this game is sneaking around, trying to sneak past these guys, and you just don't have a whole lot of room. And like you see there, you can turn a corner, and all of a sudden there's just a whole bunch of guys just can just swarm on you. And when that happens, bad things will happen. You get swarmed and then you get killed, kind of like what you just saw there. And on top of that, on on top of that, there are very few checkpoints in the game, which will kind of force you to go back to the beginning of a certain checkpoint when you were killed. What do I mean by that? Well, pretty much a lot of times in this game, you will you'll be going through a level. Okay, the levels are very small, they're very compact, and there's usually multiple stages in the levels. All right, and say you get through stage one, stage two, but you're killed in stage three or room three, you then have to go all the way back to stage one and start the level all over again. It can be very frustrating in the harder modes. You really won't run into kind of this issue if you play on easy or normal mode. It won't really you won't really get that issue because it isn't so hard on easy and normal mode, because that's the mode where supplies are in abundance. If you search around, you can find plenty of bullets, you can find plenty of crafting material, and the enemy AI just isn't as difficult, and as a result, you can kind of go into a situation and take out these bad guys, John Wick style. You know what I mean? It's you can just walk in there with all your bullets and just start blowing people away, John Wick style, and and that is quite satisfying. My very first playthrough was on normal, and that's kind of how I played it, John Wick style, just going around taking people out. Um, like I was in a James Bond movie or something. It's incredibly satisfying, though I will say. So that's what you can expect from the easy normal mode. When you get to these more difficult settings, from like hard to survivor to the hardest mode in the game, grounded mode, the John Wick style simply is not an option. I mean, the AI is very difficult. They were very formidable, and there is basically nothing scavenge material wise. You don't get bullets. Either you barely get bullets, you barely get any crafting material, and as a result, stealth is not only the most viable option, a lot of times it is the only option for you, where you simply just do not have the ammo to take on every single enemy, whether it's the infected or whether it's the hunters. And as a result, you have to stealth, you have to sneak past them. There's no other choice. You have to kind of move around them. And with these levels being so compact, it's very, very suspenseful. They really did a great job in making you feel like the terror and feel just how fragile you really are, because it's one slip up and you're done. Like, you're done. You can't recover from this. And it's something about the game that I absolutely love, because it makes it feel like, because honestly that's how it would be in a real life apocalypse. Most people, heaven forbid this ever were to happen, are not going to walk into a situation and just blow everyone away John Wick style, okay? In a real life situation, you're going to have to be stealthy, you're going to have to conserve your ammo, and you're going to have to really just sneak around. Don't even engage people. You have to sneak around them. And that's what Joel has to do in the grounded and more difficult modes of this game. And they just did a very well, it's well done. Very well done in this game. So stealth is key. I'm going to say it again. Stealth is key in this game if you want to play on the harder difficulty and get the full Last of Us experience. If you want the full Last of Us experience, combat style, gameplay style, play on grounded mode or survivor or hard mode. If you do not want the grueling challenges of grounded mode, because grounded mode is it's very difficult, not impossible, just very difficult. I mean, the sounds, the weapon use, I think in the combat's very good. It is so satisfying to blow people away with a shotgun. You know, the sound is amazing. It sounds like a real you know, all these weapons sound real. They really did a good job in making the weapons sound like real weapons. Like when you cock the shotgun, or you know, use the rifle, you know, the revolver, using the bow, and even the bow and arrow. It's all very well done. And the game makes aiming realistic too, where you can upgrade it to have no weapon sway, to where you can aim and it doesn't like shake around. But in the beginning, you do have kind of this weapon sway where you're kind of, it's the weapon's moving like it would in real life. You know, some, you know, you would be shaking, but the bullets are scarce, and which sometimes require you to go into hand-to-hand combat. And the hand-to-hand combat is so brutal and so satisfying. You know, when Joel gets, dude, Joel can throw the hands, man, let me tell you. And when he smacks dudes over the head with a baseball bat, or like slams people's heads into the brick walls, it is incredibly satisfying. Or when he uses his fist, it really sounds like someone actually punching someone, like it's pounding meat. You know what I mean? And it's very, very good. The combat is incredibly satisfying, and it's one of my favorite aspects of the game. All right, so we get to the third and final part of my video, where I review the story, which in my opinion is the strongest aspect of this video game. I believe a lot of people would agree. The biggest reason this game is so popular, while I believe the gameplay was good, though it had its issues, or nitpicks, if you will, at least for me personally. Some people feel differently. The combat I thought was great. I enjoyed the combat. Some people didn't. That's cool, but I really did. But the strongest part, and why this game has been remembered throughout all these years, and it's why in 2022 I decided to review this game that came out back in 2013, was the story. The story is easily the strongest part of the game, and it's probably one of the best stories I've experienced in a video game. It is very engaging. It's very it's very tense. It's very scary at times, and it will hit you in the feels. You know, it's basically I won't get into a whole lot of spoilers in this review video, though. I understand that the majority of you out there probably already know the story of The Last of Us, but you know, I'm going to keep it non-spoiler, try to keep it vague as I can. And basically, the story revolves around these two main characters, Joel and Ellie, and effectively they are on a journey, like I said, without getting into specifics, across the United States of America. The game starts. So basically, the setting of the game is 20 years. It's 20 years after the an outbreak. All right, it's 20 years after this viral outbreak of this crazy virus called a cordyceps infection, which is actually based off a real life fungus infection that infects ants, which I will show you here. It's actually really, really crazy. Cordyceps fungus actually does to ants. It spreads the infection. Foraging ant walks through the area in the rainforest, deep in the rainforest, infested with the microscopic spores, just like in The Last of Us. You know, most of the people are infected not just by the bites from the infected, they're actually infected by the spores in the air, which is why you see Joel and Tess and Bill always wearing masks when they go into certain areas that are filled with the fungus. And for the ants, they get infected by the same spores that are dropped by a mature fungus. The spore excretes an enzyme that eats through the ant's exterior shell. That is creepy. Okay, step 2, the death grip. After 2 days, the ant leaves its colony. It climbs down to a spot where humidity and temperatures are optimal for the fungus to grow. The ant then crawls onto a stern or underside of a leaf high up, and it bites down. It literally bites into it, and main middle vein area, so it won't fall. And then the ant actually dies. And what happens is the fungus inside of it grows, and the fungus consumes the ant's internal organs. Jesus. Using its shell as a protective casing, the fungus main stem, called a stroma, erupts from the back of the ant's head and grows, like you see in the photo here. See that? That's essentially what it does. And then step 4 is the killing zone, where the mature fungus releases spores from its stroma, and it falls to the ground, creating a 10 square feet killing zone, which attacks new ants. So essentially, this thing administers more spores, and any ants caught in the area gets infected, and then the cycle starts again. And entire colonies of ants get wiped out with this thing. And apparently, it doesn't just attack ants, but it attacks all kinds of insects. And each insect is attacked by a different kind of fungus. So the fungus that attacks the ants, the cordyceps fungus, is not the same that, say, attacks like a cricket. Like it's a different cordyceps fungus. It's actually kind of fascinating a little bit, but in a very scary way. But that is what this game is based on. That's some pretty wild stuff, right? Really, really, really crazy. Thankfully, it hasn't jumped to humans, and it only affects insects and other kinds of organisms. It's quite interesting, you know, if you really look into it. But effectively, that is what it has infected the world in the Last of Us universe. So now everyone is the majority of the population are these aggressive and really rabid infected creatures that will attack you the moment they see you and eat you, essentially, is what's going on. And obviously, if you get bit, you are infected and you will turn very shortly, within like a day or so, I believe is what it is, something like that. So it's bad. It's real bad, man. It's a real bad shape area. The world is in a bad place, and effectively, Joel here is like I said, I'm not going to get into a whole bunch of spoilers, even though I know the majority of you already know this story. But effectively, through circumstances, Joel has to escort young Ellie here to a militia group across the country because she is the key in developing a vaccine that will eradicate this virus. Is the general idea, and that is pretty much all I'll say on that. And that is the gist of the story. And I gotta tell you, it is the journey between Joel and Ellie that makes this game so memorable. You know, the way they bond. Joel is kind of a real kind of beaten down middle-aged man who has experienced loss and who has done things that are questionable and morally gray. Really wouldn't classify him as a quote unquote good person. Joel is a survivor, and that is what is required in this type of world. And sometimes to survive, you have to do things. You have to do things that are a little dirty, you know. And I like I said, I won't get into a whole lot about what he's done, but that aspect of his character makes him just really engaging, and I really like what they did with him. And then you contrast that with the character of Ellie, who is this young, tough, real smart, but very witty and kind of playful kid who knows what's going on, but hasn't necessarily experienced how cutthroat this world actually is. And the two of them kind of just travel. You know, they travel the country. You get to know them a little better, and you get to experience their ups, their downs, and while they're moving along, they get closer themselves, and they meet people along the way, and it's just really it's just very well done, you know. And I very much like this story, and it is one of the best I've ever seen. And the story alone is worth getting the game and worth playing it. But I really feel like if you haven't played this game, I would definitely recommend playing it. You know, the remastered version is it's got to be really cheap. I heard someone said it might be free on the PSN if you're a PlayStation member. I am not 100% sure on that. You know, at the time of recording this, they're coming out with a new version for the PS5. I don't think you really need to buy that. Personally, you know, it's just I don't know. They're charging $70 for it, and I don't know if it's necessarily worth the asking price. Though I could be wrong, you know, but I just don't. If you want to try this game, you can get it for a much cheaper price if you have a PS3 or PS4, and just play it on that system, and you won't you won't be let down. This is one of my favorite games of all time. and it just continues over the years. I will continue to play this game. I played, like I said in the beginning of this video, I have played this game at least a good 6-7 different full playthroughs from beginning to end. And my latest playthrough was on the hardest difficulty mode, grounded mode, and that was my first time ever playing on that difficulty. It was very difficult, but it was extremely fun, and I completed it. And even after doing that, I will play this game again. I will play it from beginning to end again at some point, when I feel like I have time, or I just feel like I just want to get back in the Last of Us world. I will play it again. This game is a masterpiece. Like, I do not use that word lightly, but they really hit it out of the park with this game. This game was incredible, and it's holds a special place in my heart. It's just a very fun, very scary, and it's emotional, and just this is just, it's just a good story to escape from, and to just kind of get lost in this world of craziness. And it's and it's a refreshing take on the zombie genre, because they're not actually zombies, they're infected creature. It's a fungus infection, and it turns them into these crazy creatures. So that is gonna be it for my review, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you for some reason haven't played the game, I recommend playing the game. It's you won't regret it. It's one of my favorite games. I feel like it's really the other games, only other games like God of War and maybe several others match up with it, but it's incredible. It's incredible, guys. So that's gonna be it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the review, relationship with each other, and yes, hope you guys have a good day, and thank you for watching.